Good morning, students. How are you all? I hope you all are fine and safe at home. So, let's start your today's English class. In your last class, I taught you the poem Two's Company. And today, I'm going to teach you part 2. In your last class, I taught you part 1. And today, I'm going to teach you part 2. But before teaching you part 2, I would like to give you the introduction of the part 1 of the poem so that it will be easier for you people to understand part 2. As I have already told you that this poem is about ghost. The poem makes fun of the people who don't believe in ghost, who believe that ghosts do not exist in this world. Now, what happened? Once upon a time there was a house, and the neighboring people of that house believe that the house is haunted means visited by ghost के आसपास के लोगों का क्या मानना था कि वो घर कैसा है, वो भूतिया हवेली है, उस घर में कौन रहता है, इस घर में भूत रहते हैं. But the narrator of the poem made fun of them and he said that I don't believe in ghosts, कि मुझे तो भूतों भूतों में कोई भी विश्वास नहीं है. And to prove himself right, he decided to spend one of his night into that haunted house. अपने आप को सही साबित करने के लिए उसने क्या डिसाइड किया कि वो एक रात कहाँ पे रहेगा, haunted house के अंदर. And he requested the neighboring people to leave him for one night into that haunted house. Now, at the time of evening, people did the same. They left him into that haunted house. But when he entered into that house at the time of evening, people got surprised. He was not afraid of anything. He was not affected of anything. In fact, he was quite happy that finally he would be able to break the false belief of पीपल इन गोस्ट, कि वो लोगों का एक झूठा विश्वास तोड़ पाएगा लोगों का कि भूत भूत कुछ नहीं होते. और उसी विश्वास को खत्म करने के लिए, उसी अंधविश्वास को खत्म करने के लिए उसने एक रात वहां पर बिताने का सोचा. बट एज ही एंटर्ड इनटू दैट हाउस, सडनली स्ट्रेंज थिंग्स स्टार्टेड हैपनिंग विद हिम, बाय व्हिच हिज मेंटालिटी गॉट कंप्लीटली चेंज्ड. So come and let's continue with the poem. But what is that? Outside it seemed as if chains rattled, someone screamed. Come, come, it's merely nerves, he's certain, but just the same he draws the curtain. First, you please note down the word meanings of these lines. Rattle means sharp knocking sound. Screamed means loudly. Merely means simply. Nerves means nervousness or fear. But what is that? Outside it seemed as if chains rattled, someone screamed. Now, what happened, dear children? When the narrator entered into the haunted house, he heard some kind of strange voices. उसको अजीबोगरीब कुछ आवाज़ें सुनाई देने लगी. ठीक है, like rattling of chains, crying somebody. He heard as somebody was walking outside the house. उसे ऐसी आवाज़ें आने लगी जैसे मानो घर के बाहर कोई चल रहा हो, या फिर चेन्स की आवाज़ें आने लगी, या फिर किसी के रोने की आवाज़ें आने लगी. And what happened then? He got afraid and thought, what is this sound? Come, come, it's merely nerves, he is certain, but just the same he draws the curtain. Now he said to himself, come and let me check. It's merely nerves. It's not anything outside the house. Actually, at that time, he was trying to convince himself. He was sure that it was not anything. At that time, he was trying to convince himself that there is nothing like to be afraid and it is just his mental illusion. वो उसका केवल वहम है, डरने की कोई भी बात नहीं है. But just as the same, he draws the curtain. But just to protect himself, ऐसा कुछ गलत नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी अपने आप को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए he drew the curtain. उसने पूरे घर में curtains लगा दिए. Maybe although he is not accepting it, वो इस बात को मान नहीं रहा है, बट मे बी समवेयर इनसाइड हिज माइंड ही वॉज गेटिंग अफ्रेड. उसे डर तो कहीं ना कहीं लग रहा था. द स्ट्रोक ऑफ 12, बट देयर इज नो क्लॉक. ही शट्स द डोर एंड टर्न्स द लॉक. Now another strange thing happened. with him. He heard the stalking voice of clock at midnight, but when he checked, there was no clock into the house. उसे किसकी आवाज़ आ रही थी? रैटलिंग ऑफ चेन्स हो गया, या फिर किसी के चलने की आवाज़ हो गई, किसी के रोने की आवाज़ हो गई. बट नाउ ही हर्ड द वॉइस ऑफ स्टॉकिंग ऑफ क्लॉक. उसे अब किसकी आवाज़ आई? घड़ी की आवाज़ आई उसे, है ना. लेकिन जब उसने चेक किया तो घर के अंदर एक्चुअल में कोई घड़ी नहीं थी. He shuts the door and turns the lock. Of course, he knows that no one's there, but no harm's done by taking. Now, what excuse was given to himself? उसने अपने आप को क्या excuse दिया कि मे बी बाहर कोई ना कोई सिली पर्सन होगा जो मुझे डराने की कोशिश कर रहा है. मे बी उसने रॉड से कोई आवाज़ निकाली होगी जिससे मुझे लगा होगा कि घड़ी की आवाज़ है. Someone's outside. Maybe someone is there. Somebody is there outside the house who is trying to make me afraid or who is trying to make me fool. And he may as well pick up the poker, or maybe he has taken some rod and he is trying to make the voice of the clock. So he is trying to make me afraid, but there is nothing like ghost. Still he was adamant, still he was stubborn that there is nothing like ghost. Ghost does not exist in this world. That noise again. He checks the doors, shutters the windows, makes a pause. To seek the safest place to hide, the cupboard strong, he creeps inside. Now, what happened? He heard the noise, same noise again. उसे वापस से वो सारी आवाज़ें दोबारा आने लग जाती हैं. And when he heard the same noises again, he checks the doors also, he checks the windows of the house also, and again he got afraid. And to protect himself, he shuts the door and locks the doors tightly. He closes the window also, makes a pause to seek the safest place to hide, and then for a while, for a moment, he stopped over there and he tried to find out the safest place to hide. He tried to protect himself. वो अपने आप को बचाने की कोशिश करता है. जब उसे वापस से वो आवाज़ें सुनाई देती हैं तो वो क्या करता है? अब उसे डर तो लग रहा था, लेकिन वो इस बात को एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर रहा था कि भूत जैसी इस दुनिया में कोई चीज़ है. तो उसने क्या किया? वो दरवाजे चेक करने लगा, उसने विंडोज़ बंद कर दी, ठीक है. और फिर वो 1 मिनट के लिए रुक के सोचने कि मैं कहाँ जाके छुपूँ, कहाँ जाके मुझे छुपना चाहिए जहाँ पे मेरे तक कोई भी ना पहुँच सके. द मेन थिंग इज़ दैट इफ़ ही इज़ नॉट अफ्रेड देन व्हाई इज़ ही डूइंग ऑल दीज थिंग्स. वो ये सारी चीज़ें क्यों कर रहा है अगर उसे डर लग रहा तो? बट एक्चुअली ही वॉज अफ्रेड, ही गॉट अफ्रेड, बट ही प्रिटेंडेड दैट ही वॉज नॉट अफ्रेड. वो नाटक कर रहा था कि उसे डर नहीं लग रहा था. एक्चुअली ही वॉज ट्राइंग टू कन्विंस हिमसेल्फ. फाइनली व्हेन ही गॉट अफ्रेड ही ट्राइड टू फाइंड द सेफेस्ट प्लेस टू हाइड. उसने अपने लिए सबसे अच्छा छुपने का प्लेस ढूंढा. द कबर्ड स्ट्रॉन्ग ही क्रीप्स इनसाइड एंड फाइंड यू. सो क्या मिला सबसे स्ट्रॉन्ग प्लेस? Cupboard. Cupboard means almirah. And he creeps inside and he is afraid so much. वो इतना ज़्यादा डर गया था, अलमीरा के अंदर, कबर्ड के अंदर जाकर छुप गया. Not that there is anything to fear. See, again he is trying to convince himself कि डरने की कोई बात नहीं है. मैं इसलिए नहीं छुप रहा हूँ कि मेरे को डर लग रहा है कुछ भी. But still there is no harm to protect yourself. So I am not afraid. I am not getting fear of anything. But I am just trying to protect myself. He tells himself when at his ear a voice breathes softly, "How do you do? I am the ghost, pray hua." And when he was trying to convince himself, when he was telling to himself again and again that there is nothing like to fear, कि डरने की कोई बात नहीं है, डरने की कोई बात नहीं है, suddenly to his great surprise, to his great shock, he heard a strange voice in the cupboard. उसने cupboard को सबसे ज़्यादा safest place माना था, but in the cupboard also he heard a strange kind of voice. But to his great shock, the ghost who was also living inside the cupboard spoke in his ear. कि जब वो अलमारी में जाके छुपा तो वहीं पर ही वो जो भूत था वो भी उसी अलमीरा में छुपा हुआ था. और जैसे ही वो अलमीरा में जाके बैठा तो उसको अचानक से एक अजीब सी आवाज़ सुनाई दी भूत की. How do you do? I am the ghost, pray who are you? Who are you? What are you doing here? I am the ghost. कि मैं तो भूत हूँ, मैं तो यहाँ पे हूँ, लेकिन what are you doing here? Why have you come here? Who are you? So here the poem is finished. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. You can message me on WhatsApp. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the poem. Thank you and have a nice day.